experience doesn't change how fast you drive, it changes how you respond. Research shows human behavior contributes to over 90% of road crashes, highlighting how much driver decisions influence outcomes. Experienced drivers move with less urgency and make calmer decisions, not because they memorize more rules, but because they've learned what actually causes wear, stress, and costly mistakes over time. Most expensive problems don't come from ignorance. They come from pressure, rushing small moments and forcing decisions that didn't need force. This video isn't about tricks, hacks, or upgrades. It's about quiet habits that protect your car and your peace of mind. If practical driving insight learned through experience matters to you, consider subscribing. Pro tip number 17. How experienced drivers use the pedals differently. Experienced drivers don't move their feet aggressively. They move them deliberately. Instead of lifting and stomping, they keep their foot grounded and apply pressure smoothly. That small change creates better control, not just over speed, but over how the car responds in every moment. Abrupt pedal movement forces systems to react quickly. Smooth inputs let them respond naturally. Throttle, brakes, and transmission all work more efficiently when they aren't being shocked by sudden changes. The result is quieter driving, less strain, and better balance, especially in traffic or long drives. This approach also reduces fatigue. When your leg isn't constantly lifting and resetting, your body stays relaxed. That relaxation matters more than people realize. Tired drivers make rushed decisions. Calm drivers stay ahead of the moment. Precision doesn't come from force. It comes from consistency. Experienced drivers don't press harder, they press smarter. That habit alone separates anxious driving from confident control. Pro tip number 16. Why experienced drivers never rush a cold start. The first few minutes after starting a car set the tone for everything that follows. Experienced drivers know this, which is why they don't rush it. They let systems stabilize instead of demanding instant performance. Modern vehicles adjust oil flow, temperature, and idle behavior gradually. Pushing hard before those systems are ready creates unnecessary strain. Nothing dramatic happens right away, but small stress builds quietly. The same way wear always does. There's no need to idle excessively or wait endlessly. It's about moderation. Gentle acceleration, steady movement, letting the car ease into operation instead of forcing it to respond instantly. Calm beginnings lead to fewer surprises later. Experienced drivers understand that patience early often prevents expensive problems down the road. It's not about delay, it's about respect for how machines work. Pro tip number 15. The simple fueling habit that prevents costly problems. Fueling feels routine, which is why small mistakes often slip by unnoticed. Experienced drivers treat this moment with care, not worry. They understand that what seems insignificant at the pump can quietly affect systems far beyond it. The focus is simple: keep contaminants out. Dirt, moisture, and debris don't cause immediate trouble. They work slowly. Once they enter areas they don't belong, they begin affecting components that were never designed to handle them. The damage builds quietly, long before symptoms appear. Experienced drivers avoid that chain reaction with a brief habit that takes almost no effort. They don't set caps where grime can collect. They make sure seals are seated properly before moving on. No rushing, no overthinking, just attention. What makes this habit powerful is how ordinary it feels. There's no instant reward. Nothing sounds or feels different afterward. But over time, that consistency protects parts most drivers never consider. Until something stops working. Small habits rarely feel urgent. That's exactly why they matter. This one costs nothing, takes seconds, and quietly reduces the chances of problems showing up when they're least expected. Pro tip number 14. What experienced drivers always notice at the pump. Fuel stops are routine, which is exactly why experienced drivers don't rush through them. They use those moments to observe, not to worry. No tools, no diagnosis, just awareness. A brief glance can reveal useful information. Seals that look worn, smells that feel unfamiliar, small drips that weren't there before. None of these demand immediate action, but each one adds context. Over time, that context matters. Catching subtle changes early keeps decisions in your hands. Waiting for a warning light means reacting instead of choosing. Experience shows in the ability to notice without overthinking and remember without stressing. This habit isn't about searching for faults, it's about staying attentive while staying calm. Experienced drivers don't assume everything is perfect, and they don't jump to conclusions either. They take in what's visible, store it mentally, and continue on without distraction. That quiet awareness turns routine stops into moments of control. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent, just information gathered before problems ever have a chance to announce themselves. Pro tip number 13. How experienced drivers set their mirrors for confidence. Experienced drivers don't use mirrors for reassurance. They use them to understand space. Proper mirror positioning isn't about seeing your own vehicle, it's about tracking movement around you with clarity. When mirrors are adjusted outward, vehicles move through your field of view smoothly, instead of vanishing and reappearing. Transitions between rear view, side mirrors, and peripheral vision become predictable. That continuity removes guesswork and makes traffic feel calmer. With a proper setup, head movement decreases naturally. There's less need to constantly recheck and second guess. Decisions happen earlier, and with more confidence, because information arrives consistently. Lane changes stop feeling rushed and start feeling deliberate. Experienced drivers trust this arrangement because it's been tested over time. Once set correctly, it doesn't need constant adjustment. The mental workload drops. Driving becomes quieter, both physically and mentally. Confidence behind the wheel isn't built by staring harder. It's built by seeing better. When mirrors show what matters, awareness replaces anxiety, and every movement feels more controlled. Pro tip number 12. The night driving adjustment. Most people forget, night driving is demanding in ways many drivers underestimate. Glare forces your eyes to constantly adjust, which quietly increases fatigue. Experienced drivers don't simply push through that strain. They reduce it wherever possible. There's a small adjustment that softens harsh light from behind without sacrificing awareness of what's happening around you. Used correctly, it lowers eye strain and helps vision recover more quickly after sudden brightness. That faster recovery matters more than most people realize. Vision doesn't return instantly after being hit with glare. Even a brief moment of reduced clarity covers a surprising amount of distance at speed. Experienced drivers account for that by minimizing visual shock before it becomes a problem. Comfort during night driving isn't indulgent, it's protective. Relaxed eyes process information better, react faster, and stay focused longer. Small adjustments make late drives calmer and safer, especially when conditions aren't ideal. Experienced drivers understand that safety at night comes from preparation, not endurance. Reducing strain early helps maintain control when visibility is already limited, allowing attention to stay where it belongs on the road ahead. Pro tip number 11. Dashboard warning. Experienced drivers take seriously. Dashboard warnings aren't all equal. Some signals need immediate attention, while others are reminders to stay aware and plan ahead. Experienced drivers learn the difference over time, which is why they don't panic the moment a light appears. They understand which warnings mean it's time to stop and assess, and which allow for careful continuation. That knowledge prevents two common mistakes: overreacting to minor alerts and ignoring important ones. Both can create unnecessary stress or expensive outcomes. Guesswork is what makes warning lights feel intimidating. Experience replaces that uncertainty with clarity. Instead of reacting emotionally, experienced drivers interpret what the vehicle is communicating and respond calmly. That measured response often saves time and frustration. It avoids unnecessary stops while also preventing small issues from being overlooked. Control comes from knowing when action is required and when observation is enough. Understanding dashboard signals turns uncertainty into information. For experienced drivers, warning lights aren't alarms meant to induce fear. They're messages designed to guide better decisions. Why these tips feel quiet, but add up? None of these habits are dramatic. There's no tool involved, no spending, no shortcuts. That's why they're easy to miss. Cars are designed to protect themselves when drivers work with them instead of against them. Experience teaches when to slow down, when to ease off, and when to simply let systems do their job. If this kind of calm, practical driving insight is useful to you, consider subscribing. Everything ahead builds on the same idea: driving smarter by staying composed, not rushed. Pro tip number 10. How experienced drivers react when the car feels off. When something feels different behind the wheel, most drivers react emotionally first. Tension rises, urgency follows. Experienced drivers do the opposite. They slow down mentally before doing anything else. Reduced power, unusual behavior, or delayed response doesn't automatically mean failure. In many cases, it's the vehicle protecting itself. Modern cars are built to limit damage when systems detect irregular conditions. Forcing performance in those moments often works against that protection. Experienced drivers don't push harder or try to overpower the situation. They ease off, observe what's happening, and allow systems time to respond as designed. Calm matters more than speed here. Panic leads to sharp inputs and rushed decisions. Rushed decisions create stress on components that are already under strain. Staying composed keeps a small issue from escalating into a costly one. Experience teaches restraint. Not every unfamiliar sensation requires an immediate fix, but everyone deserves attention. The difference is how that attention is applied. Experienced drivers listen instead of fighting the feedback. Giving protection systems space to do their job often leads to better outcomes than forcing action. In moments like these, patience isn't passive. It's a deliberate choice that prevents damage, preserves control, and keeps uncertainty from turning into regret. Pro tip number 9. Why experienced drivers prepare for small emergencies. Problems on the road rarely happen at the right moment. A blocked lane, a stalled car, or the inability to move can turn stress into panic almost instantly. Experienced drivers reduce that pressure by thinking ahead before anything goes wrong. Preparation doesn't mean expecting trouble at every turn. It means understanding options in advance. Knowing where to pull over, how to reposition safely, which step comes first when movement isn't possible. That awareness removes hesitation when time matters. Stress clouds judgment. It narrows focus and pushes people toward rushed choices. Preparation does the opposite. When drivers already know what to do, their response becomes steady instead of reactive. They don't guess. They don't overcorrect. Improvising under pressure may feel brave, but it often leads to mistakes that cost more in the end. Experienced drivers trust familiarity instead. That quiet readiness keeps situations from escalating and turns tense moments into manageable ones. Being prepared doesn't make driving fearful, it makes it calm. And calm decisions almost always lead to better outcomes when small emergencies arise. Pro tip number 8. What experienced drivers read in traffic patterns. Experienced drivers don't focus only on the car directly ahead. They read the movement of traffic as a whole. Subtle changes in speed, spacing, and rhythm often signal what's coming long before brake lights appear. Groups of vehicles reacting together usually point to something ahead. Slowing traffic, road changes, or obstacles that haven't reached you yet. Experienced drivers notice these patterns early and adjust smoothly instead of waiting for a sudden surprise. Larger vehicles are especially useful to watch. Their height gives drivers a broader view of the road ahead, which means their reactions often come sooner. When trucks change lanes or slow together, it's rarely random. It's information. Using that information doesn't mean speeding up or cutting through traffic. It simply allows anticipation, easing off earlier, creating space before congestion hits, keeping movements controlled rather than reactive. Driving smarter means responding to what traffic is telling you instead of fighting it. Experienced drivers move with the flow, not against it, making adjustments before problems arrive rather than scrambling after they do. Pro tip number 7. The intersection habit that prevents serious accident. Intersections test patience more than skill. With traffic coming from multiple directions, pressure builds quickly, and many drivers focus on timing above all else. Experienced drivers approach these moments differently. They prioritize control while waiting, knowing that a few seconds of discipline can prevent serious consequences. Wheel position is a detail most drivers overlook. Keeping the wheels straight while stopped reduces the chance of unintended movement if the vehicle is struck from behind. That small adjustment can keep a minor incident from turning into a far more dangerous situation involving cross-traffic. Rushing into gaps often feels efficient, but it increases exposure. Experienced drivers wait for clearer openings instead of forcing tight ones. That extra moment gives more room for error and keeps decisions measured instead of reactive. This habit isn't rooted in fear. It's based on understanding how quickly conditions can change at intersections. Momentum may feel rewarding, but margin is what provides safety. Experienced drivers value space, predictability, and composure. especially where risks are highest. Pro tip number 6. Cold weather signals. Experienced drivers respect cold weather changes road behavior long before danger becomes visible. Pavement can look dry and stable, while traction has already dropped. Experienced drivers pay attention to temperature because it provides information others overlook. Certain conditions increase risk without warning. Bridges cool faster. Shaded sections hold ice longer. Moisture that felt harmless minutes earlier can turn slick as temperatures fall. Confidence doesn't override these shifts. Physics always wins. Respecting cold weather signals isn't about slowing everything down to a crawl. It's about adjusting expectations early. Smoother steering, gentler braking, slightly longer following distance. These changes reduce the need for sudden reactions when traction disappears. Experienced drivers make those adjustments before they're forced to. They don't wait for a slide to confirm what temperature already suggested. That early awareness prevents panic and keeps movements controlled. Optimism assumes conditions will hold. Awareness prepares for when they don't. By staying cautious ahead of time, experienced drivers maintain control even when the road offers less grip than expected. Pro tip number 5. Why experienced drivers don't force a weak battery. Cold weather puts extra strain on electrical systems, and a struggling battery makes that strain obvious. When a car hesitates to start, the instinct for many drivers is to keep trying. Experienced drivers do the opposite. They pause and assess before damage has a chance to build. Repeated start attempts don't just drain the battery further. They stress the starter, electronics, and wiring that rely on stable power. Each attempt compounds the load, turning a minor issue into a bigger one. Experienced drivers understand that hesitation and failure aren't the same thing, and recognizing the difference matters. Restraint becomes a skill here. Giving systems a moment to rest can preserve what's already weak. In some situations, the smarter decision is stepping away from repeated effort and choosing assistance instead of persistence. That choice protects more than just the battery. Getting moving feels urgent, but preventing damage is often more important. Experienced drivers don't measure success by whether the car starts immediately. They measure it by what still works afterward. Knowing when to stop trying is as valuable as knowing how to try. That balance is something only experience teaches, and it saves time, money, and stress long after the engine finally turns over. Pro tip number 4. The parking method. Experienced drivers trust parking looks simple until pressure shows up. Tight spaces, waiting cars, and limited visibility turn small mistakes into stress quickly. Experienced drivers avoid that by treating parking as positioning, not chance. They don't guess. They line up deliberately before the wheel ever turns. Reference points matter. Knowing where your mirrors, wheels, and corners sit in relation to nearby lines or vehicles removes uncertainty. With clear positioning, the car follows predictable paths instead of requiring constant correction. Fewer adjustments mean less attention drawn and less room for error. Speed is the enemy here. Moving slowly gives the steering time to respond and the driver time to adjust calmly. Rushing forces sharper inputs, which usually leads to overcorrection. Experienced drivers keep movements measured, even when others are watching. Control always looks smoother than speed. Consistency builds confidence. Using the same approach each time turns parking into a routine instead of a test. The body remembers the motion. The eyes know where to look. Stress fades because the process feels familiar. The goal isn't perfection, it's calm accuracy. Less turning back and forth, less hesitation, just deliberate movement, guided by awareness. That quiet discipline is why experienced drivers park with confidence, even in places that make others tense up. Pro tip number 3. Why experienced drivers actually use eco setting. Eco settings are often misunderstood. Many drivers assume they exist only to save fuel, or worse, to make the car feel sluggish. Experienced drivers see them differently. To them, eco mode is about smoothness and control, not sacrifice. In stop-and-go conditions, aggressive throttle response adds unnecessary strain. Eco settings soften that response, making acceleration more gradual and predictable. This reduces how often brakes are needed and keeps movements calm instead of abrupt. Over time, that smoothness matters. Less strain means less wear, especially during long periods of congestion. Another benefit is mental. When the car responds gently, the urge to rush fades. Driving feels easier. Inputs feel intentional rather than reactive. That shift alone lowers fatigue, which is often overlooked as a factor in wear, both on the vehicle and on the driver. Experienced drivers also know eco mode isn't universal. It's not ideal for every situation, and they switch it off when conditions demand stronger response. But in traffic where patience is already required, it aligns perfectly with how experienced drivers prefer to move: steady, controlled, and composed. Lower stress behind the wheel leads to better decisions. Better decisions protect systems that wear quietly over time. Eco settings don't change how skilled you are, but they support the calm approach that experience naturally brings. Pro tip number 2. How experienced drivers stay calm in stop-and-go traffic. Stop-and-go traffic reveals more about a driver than open roads ever do. Constant starts and stops tempt people into sharp acceleration and last-second braking, which quickly drains focus. Experienced drivers recognize this pattern and adjust before tension builds. The key difference is spacing. By leaving a little extra room ahead, experienced drivers reduce how often they need to react. Instead of responding to every brake light, they allow traffic to move naturally. That space gives time to lift gently instead of slam, time to roll instead of surge. Inputs become smoother as a result. Light throttle, early easing, controlled braking. The car stops feeling like something to wrestle with and starts behaving predictably. That predictability is what keeps fatigue low during long delays. Stress is what causes most small mistakes in traffic. Rushed lane changes, missed signals, unnecessary braking. Calm creates rhythm, and rhythm keeps attention steady. When movements follow a consistent pattern, mental load drops without effort. Experienced drivers also understand that fighting congestion never shortens it. Forcing gaps or racing to the next red light only adds pressure without saving time. Letting the car work smoothly within the flow often feels slower, but ends up being easier, safer, and less exhausting. In heavy traffic, control doesn't come from speed, it comes from composure. And that calm approach turns one of the most frustrating driving situations into something manageable, even routine. Pro tip number 1. The biggest difference experience makes over time. Experience isn't measured by how many rules you know, or how fast you respond. It shows up in how rarely you need to react at all. Experienced drivers move through situations with fewer sharp inputs, fewer rushed decisions, and far less emotional pressure. Over time, awareness replaces aggression. You start noticing patterns before they turn into problems. You ease off instead of forcing outcomes. You choose positioning, timing, and patience long before urgency ever enters the picture. That calm approach protects both the driver and the vehicle without drawing attention to itself. What makes this powerful is how subtle it feels. Nothing here creates instant drama or obvious reward. There's no single moment where you feel like something major was avoided. But those quiet choices add up. They prevent wear that never announces itself. They reduce stress that never spikes. They turn potential problems into non-events. Experienced drivers don't chase quick results. They understand that good outcomes are guided, not forced. They give systems time to work, leave room for error, and trust consistency over impulse. That mindset doesn't just change how a car performs, it changes how driving feels. In the end, experience isn't about control through pressure. It's about control through restraint. And that difference, repeated day after day, is what shapes safer drives, calmer decisions, and fewer problems waiting down the road. Final thought: experience isn't something you pick up all at once. It builds slowly, through miles driven, moments noticed, and mistakes that never had the chance to happen. Over time, the smallest habits shape how driving feels, how calm it stays, how predictable it becomes, and how often problems never show up at all. What experienced drivers understand is simple. You don't protect a car by forcing it. You protect it by paying attention, easing pressure, and working with how systems are designed to respond. Those choices don't stand out in a single drive, but they compound quietly over years of ownership. Driving smarter isn't about being cautious or slow, it's about being composed, knowing when to wait, when to ease off, when to let the car do what it's built to do. That mindset reduces stress behind the wheel and often prevents situations most drivers assume are unavoidable. If practical, experience-based driving insight like this is helpful to you, consider subscribing. More videos like this focus on calm decisions that save time, money, and unnecessary frustration without gimmicks or hype. Because in the long run, calm drivers don't just travel farther. They arrive with fewer problems waiting for them.